Hey folks, thanks for watching my monologue. I'd like to encourage you to visit Guns Etc. They're strong supporters of our president and the principles our country was founded upon. Guns Etc. is 10,200 square feet and it's a firearm lover's paradise. And for all your online firearms needs, just click on gunsetcetera.com. And if you like my monologues, please subscribe to our channel. Thanks. Well, welcome back. Tuesday, March 10th, 2020. This is the Seth Leibson Show, and it's a delight to welcome back to the airwaves right off the top of the show right here. House Freedom Caucus Chairman Andy Biggs, representing Arizona's fighting 5th Congressional District. Andy, welcome back. Thanks for joining us.
Seth, good to be with you.
Andy, chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. Freedom has obviously been not only a passion of yours as a conservative and as a Republican, but a passion of yours given the caucus. And actually, there's an issue going on in Capitol Hill right now. It may not be considered the most sexy, so to speak, of issues, but it's the reauthorization of something too many Americans learned probably too much about for all the wrong reasons over the last couple of years. And that's the FISA, F-I-S-A, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, and its renewal. You've been working on that, and there was some votes today, or at least some decisions being made in the House today based on its parts of its needed reauthorization that are coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and Seth, let me just tell you, this really is kind of an issue with sizzle. I mean, what could be more sizzling than spying on people,
right?
Getting
Fair
wiretaps on people? But you know what?
It
becomes even hotter when you consider that it was abused and spying was done on the Trump campaign and on Carter Page, and we think others for political purposes.
That's a fair point. I take that point. Yes, good point.
I just don't want people to get bored. And turn me off
No.
going.
I'll trade with you here. You take the show, and I'll take you. I'm with you, buddy. It's a good point.
Yeah. So I mean, so when you get somebody spying on us, abusing the power that we've given them, then there's a problem. So there's 3 provisions of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act that are coming due to expire this Sunday. Well, I mean, one of them they've never even used. It's called the Lone Wolf provision.
Right.
No need to get into it. One of them is something that's recognized generally in all the courts, and that's the modern interpretation is basically if you're moving from if they've got a wiretap warrant on you on your cell phone and you keep using it to get like an iPad in the computer, it just transfers to those.
People call this the roving wiretap, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
the roving wiretap,
right.
And so that's basically already the state of the law.
Right.
But what they have now, the 215 portion is to get at business records, etc. It
Right.
doesn't have the same standard of proof that you would for other subpoenas, and it's been abused. And when we start looking at this, some additional reforms were attempted. Now, since in the last probably hour, the final bill has been introduced. Get this, it has been introduced, and they're already in the Rules Committee hearing. They're not having a regular committee hearing. This should be going to the Judiciary Committee and the Intelligence Committee.
Sure.
And they're running this thing through, and they're going to cram it through either tomorrow or on Thursday. And we have got amendments that we've tried to get on. They're not taking any amendments. We've worked with them. I've been in meetings trying to get them to move. And I will say this, one of the Democrats actually pointed this out, and I was more power to her because she was exactly right. Some of the protections don't apply to the general American population.
Right.
You know who they apply to? You know who gets protected? Federal political candidates and federal elected officials.
Wow. Okay. So
I mean, seriously, how do you justify that?
Well, I'm trying to justify the court in and of itself.
Oh yeah, well, I can't. You go back to Bork castigating this back in, I think it was like 75, 76, somewhere in there.
Right.
And it's been a problem ever since, and it really came home when they were spying on then candidate Trump. So I mean,
This is what's so odd about the Democrats' position on this, or at least the majority's position on these committees. Andy, we're talking to Andy Biggs. What's so odd about it is my memory of the creation of the court was, to try and stop or put put a curb on the excesses of domestic surveillance, basically domestic surveillance, and of previous administrations in the 70s and 60s. And here we are, where we've seen it come around full bore, so that now this court is being abused by prosecutors to do exactly that all over again. They are just taking the instrument and using it for the exact opposite purpose of what it was intended to prevent, and won't allow us to go back to some kind of common sense understanding of the Fourth Amendment, where we're all given our constitutional guarantees.
Right. No, so that's exactly right. And what you have is, this is what I call the uniparty.
Okay.
This is the establishment going. So you have Democrats and Republicans who want to protect civil liberties, like myself, and there's a bunch of us. Right. And then you have others who wanted the status quo, and then you have some who said, "Well, look, we're going to get some reforms, and so we're going to vote for this because we're getting some reforms." Mm-hmm. And the reforms are not nearly robust enough, and quite frankly, I think in some respects they're just cosmetic. And my position, looking at it, I've been reading through the version that they gave us a few days back, and I've been reading through the version that just came out about an hour and a half ago, and they look really close and very similar. And the bottom line is this: the president could be attacked today under this new law, just like he was previously, and that means every American is at risk.
One of the ways you can tell that there's been an overuse of this court is by looking at the mere number of cases that have been brought before it from its inception until now. It was a very rarely used court early on in the late 70s and early 80s, with maybe a couple hundred cases at most a year. We're now seeing, something like 17, 18, 15, 16 per year. You look it up. We're looking at all these filings. This court is being way overused, and I don't understand, quite honestly, why we even really need it anymore if we have judges and prosecutors who are concerned and versed in not only national security but traditional Fourth Amendment rights. I just don't think we need it anymore. I think it's a relic.
I agree with you. It's outdated. It's outmoded. I mean, literally, as I was walking out of one of the negotiation settlements to get to another meeting yesterday, somebody said, "Well, when we get to this terrorist type of activity, we need the FISA court so we can get the wiretap warrants for potential terrorists, including domestic terrorists." And I said, "You know what? You got something. It's called an Article III court, right. And you got the Fourth Amendment, right. Which is the protection, the due process, where you go in and get a warrant, right. Or get in a subpoena, right. By an independent judicial officer who's reviewing what you have." Right. And basically, what we're setting up here with this new system is they're going to say, well, we have a more robust system where it's going to be criminal conduct if you abuse your power. Well, it's already criminal conduct under the current law, right. And it doesn't become criminal conduct, though, Seth, and you know this, but it doesn't become criminal conduct until it's prosecuted and you get a conviction.
Correct.
That's the problem. We're seeing no prosecutions on any of this stuff, so you'll never get a conviction if you never file a charge. And we have abuses. We had the Inspector General report come out and say you had at least 51 misrepresentations or failure to provide exonerating evidence. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you start looking at this was so abused, and we're going to end up paying probably millions of dollars to Carter Page in damages mm-hmm. because of the abuse. And no one's even been, as far as we know, discharged. The guy that did this, he wasn't discharged. Right. He was transferred. Right. Maybe he's up in some office in the cold country somewhere or something. But the bottom line is he didn't get prosecuted for lying under oath to the court.
Right.
And neither did the 4 people who were supervisors who signed off on those warrants. or those applications for warrant. This is just what's maddening, and it's really what's wrong with Washington, D.C. today.
And it takes a fighter like you to keep bringing this kind of stuff to light. If you support transparency, if you respect transparency and support it, if you respect and support constitutionalism like the Fourth Amendment, it's time to join you in taking on this entire court, this entire act, Andy. I'm glad you're doing it, and I'm glad you could spend a little time with us. I really appreciate it.
Happy to do it. Take care, Seth.
You
Thank
betcha.
you.
Andy Biggs, chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. Always a delight. We'll talk to you soon. I'm Seth Leibson. We'll be right back.